You're not going to solve this by lecturing people harder. You need to figure out systemic solves.
Most leaders try to get attention with speeches, headlines, or power moves. But this man, he doesn't chase fame. He doesn't want power. He even says politics doesn't interest him. He's just a civil servant in tiny Singapore. And yet, when Li Hongyi speaks, his interviews pull in 30 times more views than usual. Today, we are breaking down why, and why his way of thinking is irreplaceable, even in this age of AI. Because hidden behind a quiet delivery is a radical philosophy: how to fix broken systems. Growing up, Hongyi wasn't a top student.
If you just throughout secondary school, I was a terrible student. I never did my homework.
But things changed when he learned he didn't need to follow the path laid out for him. A friend made him apply for a Google internship.
I had this very kind of unhealthy attitude to be like, what's the point? There are so many other people so much smarter than me, like doing this, and they've had so much more experience. And I remember she was saying like, no, just stop it. Just try. If you don't get it, that's fine, but just try.
He tried and won the internship.
I felt so empowered that summer at that internship, not because I was doing like the most mind-blowing work or whatever, but just that people trusted me to do things that other people would use. I think from there it shifted my attitude a lot. So rather than just be like, okay, what's the system, what's laid out, okay, let's go with that, you asking yourself, no, but what do you want? What do you want to do? What should we be doing? And then making that happen. And so I started being a lot more proactive, which is a very big part of who I am today.
A boss changed his views about being a manager.
He was excited about seeing the things that we thought about, and like we really wanted to just try to help me see if we could get those things done. It wasn't about, because you're just a junior PM. It wasn't about, here's his agenda and everything. He passed it to me and then tell me things to do. It was more about, let's get you to think about all this stuff, and how can I, as a manager, help you make that stuff happen? It really shifted my mindset, which even to today, I think is a very core part about how I run my team.
Where others see apps or policies, Hongyi sees systems. Take scams. Most governments say, be careful, don't click the link. Hongyi says, that's useless.
The message that you get from the scammer and your bank are exactly the same. The only difference is that the link is like a couple of characters different or something like that. You cannot expect people to parse all that and make that call.
The point isn't the scam. The point is system design.
How can it be that your World of Warcraft account has all these anomaly detection and checks and all this, but when you're transferring huge amounts of money at random times to random people, they're like, yeah, go for it, man. What do you want me to say?
Don't nag people. Change the system.
Right now, our strategy is, all right, given this universe of 100 possible interventions, what are the key choke points that we know we need to control that at least start getting us some ground in this space?
Okay.
So we know that we need a way for people to report, to detect it more quickly. That's what Scam Shield is for.
Singapore's parking app makes parking much more convenient.
Parking.sg, right? So my mom loves this app, right? So one day she just messaged me all of a sudden. She's like, wow, this app is so amazing.
Building it? Just 3 months.
And the concept of put in where you're parking and pay money is a very simple concept. It's not a big idea.
But actually making it work across agencies, enforcement, and real streets? 8 months of painful coordination.
The difficulty was getting all the stakeholders to want to do this and to integrate with all of the enforcement systems to actually make it happen. The big concern that the government officers had was that if we did this system, would it dramatically slow down our enforcement? And we were timing it to show that the rate of progression was the same. So you can see how the product isn't so much like the software itself. The product is like the software connected to all the different touch points that it needs in order for it to work smoothly in our system.
His message: success isn't about the shiny surface. It's about re-engineering systems. He once described government as a giant Rube Goldberg machine.
Some guy rolls a marble and the marble like knocks over a domino, and the domino like, switches a light switch, which like turns on the fan and like does a, and at the end of the day, it does like this really, really like fantastic, complicated affairs. And at the end of the day, like, it turns on a TV or like opens the door or something, right?
I watch a lot of YouTube reviews.
Yeah, really fascinating. But there's a few properties associated with that. One is that you can make an arbitrarily simple task arbitrarily complicated. And not just arbitrarily complicated, you can make it arbitrarily complicated while every component of that being critical. So every step in those machines that you watch, every step, if you took away the marble or if you took away the light switch, the whole thing would just stop working. So it seems like everything is critical.
And his insight? You don't fix it piece by piece. You build a new path beside it, so effective that everyone switches over.
Can you draw a straight line from the marble rolling down to opening the door just far more quickly? And you probably could, but you can't do so by gradually perturbing the machine. You need to take an alternate strategy where you're basically building a bypass and then you deprecate. And then once the bypass is up and running, you maybe still leave the old machine to open the door for most cases. But once you know the bypass is a bit more reliable, then slowly you start using the old, more expensive machine less and less, and then you move more resources over to the bypass and make that the primary way by which it operates.
That's exactly what his team did with FormSG, a boring tool to digitize forms that's saving Singapore billions. Early on, Hongyi admits he was a terrible manager.
When I had my first couple of engineers reporting to me, I was very micromanaging. I would ask them to write me a code, and after I would read through every line of code, I would format this way, and I would go and get it to be exactly as though I would have done it. And I think there are industries and there are jobs where that is what you want. But I found that I wasn't actually very productive because then we ended up just doing the work more than twice.
Now, his philosophy.
Your job is to figure out where people are blocked and unblock them. What are the conditions you need to set up for people to work together well? Because everyone knows some teams work very well and some teams don't. And it's very easy to chalk it up to culture or just personality or whatever. And you're not wrong, but as someone whose job it is to run an organization made up of literally dozens of teams, you can't just hope that you get the right personality. You need to understand what allows some teams to have very good culture, what allows some teams to have very good personalities working together, why they work, and what needs do they have. It is not just skill. I think that was one of the mistakes that I made. I used to think that if I just hired really capable people and put them together, they would figure things out. You need to make sure that they have clear goals of what they're trying to work towards. You need to teach them some basic human interaction skills because, funnily enough, you think all of us out of university, you think you're fully formed adults, but actually, in retrospect, you realize how much you're missing a lot of social skills.
And he applies this beyond management to citizens themselves. When Singaporeans feel helpless about the future, he says,
if we're all doomed, you might as well go out trying. What's your argument? Your argument is we're all doomed, so I just want to lie down on the sofa and cry until the apocalypse comes? Yeah, if we're all doomed, then there's no harm in trying to get something built. There are a lot of places you can start. You can volunteer with people, you can work for social enterprises, you can try in your small ways, in small places to make things better. There are a lot of people who need help.
Now that's empowerment for teams and for a nation. And this mindset could be the only thing that AI can't replace.
The creativity in the AI can probably surpass what we can do too. The only unique thing about human intelligence is that we hopefully care that humans still exist.
Hongyi is proud of what he's done.
We built FormSG, we built the vaccination portal during COVID, we got 40-something different products.
But he's humble about what it means.
Could you share a personal story about a time that you've been brave?
I don't know whether I would consider myself brave for any of these things because, truth be told, compared to a lot of other people in the world, our lives here, especially in Singapore, are very safe and very sheltered. And nothing you do, whether it is arguing with a colleague or going, is particularly brave. And I think that, to me, is my reference point. The way I describe it is that you look at the Ukrainians, for example, they literally fight for their lives while going to work. If you're in a lot of other countries in the world, fighting against corruption and government inefficiency literally gets you killed. Literally. They don't argue with you, they don't dock your career, they don't give a bad remark in performance or your thing. They literally shoot you and kill you. Sometimes worse. So in Singapore, I think it's very presumptuous for me to call anything I've done particularly brave.
This isn't false modesty. It's true humility. Do big things, but never make yourself the story. So why is Hongyi doing great things? And why do people listen to him? It's not because of hype. It's not because of clickbait. It's because in a noisy world, he offers something rare. Clear thinking in systems. Empowerment over despair. Humility in scale. And maybe that's the future of leadership. Not loud, not theatrical, quiet, clear, and unbelievably compelling. Thanks to Jeremy from Brave Southeast Asia podcast for your help with this episode, and especially for inspiring it.